Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Thursday, February 6th. We are here. We got 7 games on FanDuel, 6 on DraftKings. DraftKings is not adding the last game, so understand that. We're going to go through everything. We are going to touch all the games as usual. Now, let's get into the slate, but before we do, want to bring your attention to our promo offers. ParlayPlay, Sleeper, Underdog, Chalkboard, all of them will give you up to 1 month free of Line Star with a minimum of $10 deposit, and most of them, make you play at least the $10. So, or at least play one game. All of the details are below. Use our link, use promo code LineStar, get a free month, and let's go. All right. Now, slate time. So, starting on FanDuel, 7 games. We got that last game in there. Should bring up the fact that it's a 243 total and second highest on the slate. So, you should probably have some input into this game in most of your lineups, I would say, as it is one that you may want to target. I do like some pieces in there. I will have some of it, not a ton though. All right, now let's get into it. So highest owned, Amon Thompson, 38% for Houston. There is no Fred VanVleet today, so no surprise. Thompson is being super high owned right now. So it looks like, last time he started, he played 32 minutes, put up 40. A couple nights ago, put up 40 in only 24 minutes. The guy has produced very well recently, and now he's in a good spot versus the Pacers in a high-paced game. High game total makes a lot of sense to want to go there when he's only 5,600, and he's shown us 40 burgers. Now, 40 burgers definitely not going to be the normal, not totally what is expected, but he has produced at a very, very good rate. And when Jalen Green is on the court with him, I do imagine he will spend a lot of time on the court with Green. He's still like a 1.05 fantasy per minute player. So it's a player that's producing at a very, very solid level. And last time he started playing 32 minutes, we haven't projected at 31. All in all, looks pretty good. Won't be shying away. Jalen Brunson, 9,700. Look, 10K or almost 10K Jalen Brunson is just hard for me to swallow. It's a good matchup. Memphis is absolutely terrible, but it's a 212 total, so very, very low total. And what we've seen out of Brunson, it's not like he's got a giant bump up with no Julius Randle. Yeah, he's got more minutes, but his per minute efficiency, scoring fantasy points for us, hasn't really gone up. So I like Brunson, just don't love him. And I think there's other spots on the Knicks that I would prefer to go to, but when it all comes down to it, it's a 212 total. It's also a 14.5 point spread. So, decent likelihood that he's not playing his full 38, 39 minutes that he's been playing. Dennis Smith Jr. All right, I think this one is, so we have Dorian Finney-Smith out. We have Cam Johnson doubtful. The rotation's getting a little thin. The expectation here is that Dennis Smith is going to play more minutes. And, there's definitely a path to it. He played 31 minutes the other night. We have him at 28. I think 26 minutes, 28 maybe is realistic. And we've seen him produce. So I'm not too surprised with the ownership here. Don't mind going there. I'm going to a bit of them as it is right now as well. Now some pivots. Jalen Green. Jalen Green just gets a huge bump up when Fred VanVleet isn't playing. His fantasy point per minute is right around 1.09, and he just takes a lot more usage. And now he's in a good spot where shooting guards do very well versus the Pacers, and it's a high pace up spot, 244.5 total. I think Jalen Green is being overlooked right now, and I'm pretty interested in him. Next, Kyrie Irving. Look, Kyrie, 1.31 fantasy per minute guy. He's in a decent matchup versus the Nets. Don't mind going there whatsoever. I was a little concerned yesterday with his minute situation, but look, he played 35 and he didn't play the last few minutes of the game because the 76ers threw in the towel with like 4 minutes left. So Irvin was on pace to play 37 plus minutes. I think, it's definitely okay to assume he's playing over 34 tonight. We have him at 36, and I don't mind going back to him whatsoever. 9.3K for a guy that can get you 50 or 60 is pretty intriguing to me. Don't mind if I will. Now, Damian Lillard. So this last game, it is on only FanDuel, but I like the spot versus Phoenix Suns. Versus point guard is something we've been attacking a lot, and I don't mind going there whatsoever. With Damian Lillard in the second highest game total of the game, which should be a close game, definitely intrigued by going with some Dame time. All right. And on to DraftKings here. Point guard, high owned, Amon Thompson, Dennis Smith, and SGA. SGA definitely looks better on DraftKings. He's 10.5K here. Likely plays 35 minutes. Been averaging 1.61 fantasy per minute in his last 5 starts. Right around 1.54 over the last 20. You take that in a good matchup at, where he's going to play 35 minutes. It's definitely interesting. Personally, I think Luka's still a little too high owned at his price with Irving back. So I don't love it, but Luka's Luka. He can always get there. And matchup tool-wise. So high owned, we got Terry Rozier, Markelle Fultz, Mike Conley, Luka, Kobe White. All are pretty interesting. White's interesting a little bit, but I'm just not getting much to him. He is still 7.5K. There's no Levine, so anytime that happens, he's interesting. He can put up a 50 burger. Don't hate it. Don't love it. It is a little bit of a tougher matchup for him. Shooting guard, Amon Thompson, Dante DiVincenzo, Cam Thomas. Look, we talked about Amon. Dante has been absolutely crushing it with the uptick of minutes and no Randall. Look, his usage goes way up. He's been filling it up from 3, made 6 threes the other night, 4, 9, 5. So he's been shooting extremely well. He is going to live and die by that 3 a little bit, though. So if it's an off night there, or they just don't need him to shoot as many threes because they're up by 20, makes some sense that he wouldn't have that great of a game. I think 7.6K is getting a little bit expensive for me, so I don't love it with that. But he can get it done. He showed us a 60 burger. He's shown us a couple 60 burgers this year. 2 40s. Don't hate going there. I'm just not going to be over the field here. I'm going to be well under the field on that ownership-wise. Cam Thomas is somewhere where I probably am going a little bit. I'm getting over him. He projects to play a lot of minutes today, and his usage goes way up in situations where they need him to score. They need him to score. No DFS, no Cam Johnson, or Cam Johnson unlikely to play. He's doubtful. So I think it's interesting going with little Cam Thomas tonight. We know he has a giant ceiling when he gets it going, so I like it. Jalen Green, we talked about. Jalen Williams, he's missed 3 games. He is questionable. I will say, if he is out again, it makes SGA look a little more interesting. SGA is more productive without Jalen Williams on the court. But if Jalen Williams playing, I am very much intrigued. He was playing super well coming into his injury, and in a good matchup versus Utah, don't mind going there at low ownership. Benedict Mathurin, look, he's 54K and can give you 40, so I'm intrigued by him routinely, especially in a spot, though, that, highest game total on the slate in a decent matchup. They're not great versus shooting guards, small forwards coming off the bench. especially when they're already a little thin. You know, Amon Thompson's going into the starting lineup, so he's not on the second unit. Makes that second unit a little bit worse, and I think Benedict Mathurin can absolutely get to him. This is a play that I like at low ownership, though not at high. And Kyrie Irving, we talked about. Shooting guard for DraftKings. Amon Thompson, Dennis Smith, Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is fine. 7,200 isn't, a crazy number whatsoever. It's a guy that's been putting up 40s and 50s. I don't think he is as good as a fantasy producer with Cam Thomas in the lineup, in the starting lineup with him. It just means he plays more minutes with Cam Thomas. And Cam is such a good scorer that it takes everybody else's usage down a little bit, including Mikal. But Mikal can get it done. I am intrigued to go there, just not going there a ton right now. Matchup, Josh Giddey, Andrew Nembhard, Cam Thomas are the three best matchups. And on to small forward, Royce O'Neal, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Cam Thomas. Royce O'Neal, I do expect to probably slide back into the starting lineup due to Cam Johnson being out. And he's only 4,400. If he's getting 32 minutes or something, I would be very surprised for him to not at least go 5x. And he's just going to pop up in a lot of optimizers, so not super surprised that he's the highest owned here. Dante, we talked about. Josh Hart is next. Hart has been a rebounding and assist demon since getting into the starting lineup, and without Julius Randle. 12 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 12 rebounds, 11 rebounds. Putting up some assists there. I expect him to hit the boards hard once again versus a depleted Memphis team. Do got to bring up Giant. Almost 15-point spread. So is definite blowout risk. The one thing, though, that the Knicks do have going for them is they are very heavily injured. So, a lot of these guys are still going to get their minutes. Pivot time, we have talked about everybody. So, small forward on DK, Royce O'Neal, Mikal Bridges, Dante DiVincenzo. I'll bring up Cam Whitmore here too, 4,600. I do expect him to get a couple extra minutes. He's producing extremely well in a fantasy point per minute range, so I can see him getting there. I don't love it. Don't mind if I get a little bit with him, though. And on to matchups. Josh Hart, Vince Williams, and Dillon Brooks are on the top. I do think Vince Williams is a little bit interesting. With how hurt they are, he should get plenty of minutes, and don't mind him. The one thing, he is questionable. If he is out, Memphis is so short on guys that actually have any NBA experience. And power forward, Royce O'Neal, Precious Achiuwa, Josh Hart. I don't love Precious Achiuwa. He just really hasn't been very good fantasy per minute wise. 0.75 fantasy per minute. The only saving grace is that he's going to be playing, as many minutes as he possibly can. But outside of the one game versus Indy, he hasn't got there. I just don't really expect him to get there. Don't love it at high ownership. And pivot-wise, Karl Anthony Towns, 8,100 for a guy that can get you 50s or 60s. I'm intrigued with in a good matchup versus the Bulls. Bulls haven't been good versus power forward, and they're starting power forward, and Patrick Williams is out, so they're going to have DeMar DeRozan, who is way smaller, on Karl Anthony Towns, and that just kind of breeds some trouble there. Maxi Kleber, this is a spot that I liked yesterday. He was 4,500, went for 28. Now it is 2 games in a row where he started at center. Last game he played 28 minutes, but got pulled early. Could have been at 30 minutes. And, on pace for over 30 at 4,600. 2 games in a row doing that. I am absolutely down to go back to that spot. And Kleber, low owned Don't mind it. Isaiah Hartenstein, Memphis has been awful versus bigs lately, and Hartenstein's been hitting the glass hard and now playing full minutes again, up to 34, 35 minutes a game. Don't hate going there. Definitely did not mean to like Kyle Anderson there. Let's pull that one off. And let's get over to power forward on DraftKings. Royce O'Neal, Precious, Jonathan Isaac. Look, 3,600 for Jonathan Isaac is actually a little interesting. 21 minutes, 20 minutes, played 22, 23 a few games ago. With him being this cheap and producing on the level that he is capable of, I think it's a little bit interesting. I just think, though, the ceiling is capped because even if he plays well, he's not going to get into 24, 25 minutes. And that's the only really way he's going to break a slate. So don't mind just fading the ownership. But optimizers are going to put him in some lineups here because he looks okay on optimizers. Consensus has him at 20. We only have him at 15, likely because that ceiling is just a little bit low, so we push it down a little bit. And power forward matchup, Royce O'Neal, Pascal Siakam, Jalen Williams. I do like Siakam a bit. He's been very good with the Pacers, has had a couple, big games, over 50, and 8.3, you got to be interested, especially when Halliburton is still limited. Jalen Smith is questionable. A lot of ways this one can go right. And let's get over to the center spot. Precious Achiuwa, Alperen Sengun, Trey Jemison. Talking about Trey, Memphis, obviously very hurt. Look, he played 23 minutes, did very little versus Boston. Other time he played, he scored 15 and 14 minutes. He can produce. We have a very small sample size on him at this point, but I don't think he's going to play enough minutes to really be in there. We have him at 16.4 minutes, so I'm not going to go there personally. Bam Adebayo is one of the pivots I am very interested in. I brought up the fact last week that with Rozier on the court, Hero, Butler, and Bam all are producing very well. That is still the case. The sample size is still getting bigger. Bam is at 1.33 fantasy point per minute with Rozier on the court. On the season, he's right around 1.24. Over the last 20, he's at 1.18. So I give him a little boost up because Rozier is there and he's been producing well for him. And it doesn't take much at 8,300 to start getting him into lineups. So just a little boost to him, you start getting a lot of him, and he's at low ownership. I don't mind going there. He's been 40s a ton, has a huge ceiling. Definitely interested in going there. Cat, Kleber, Hartenstein, we've all talked about like those as pivots also. And on to DraftKings, we got Precious Achiuwa, Alperen Sengun, Jonathan Isaac, Cat. We have talked about them all. And matchup tool wise, Isaiah Hartenstein's at the very top. Like I said, Memphis has been absolutely terrible versus center. Centers have just been crushing them. Don't mind going there. Miles Turner is popping up as well. One thing I will have to say about Turner is his minutes just have not been there lately. 26, 24, 26. He's had a couple games that he's missed. I think the ankle might be bothering him a little bit, and the Pacers are just being a little careful with him. 6K, I can see why you want to get there. He doesn't need a really, really, really good game to hit 6X. He just needs a decent game. Now, if he has one of his good games, he's at 7 or 8X, so I get if you want to go there. Personally, I'm not getting to a ton of them right now. John Collins is up here too. OKC is a decent matchup. John Collins has been good at the center spot, shown some ceiling too. The issue here is minutes. He's projected at 28. You never know if he's going to get 26 or if he's going to get 34. As you can see here, 24, 34, 28, 21, 32. So he is a GPP play. He can absolutely get there, but just understand that his minutes are all over the place, and it's very hard to project him due to that, because if you project him too much, you're going to get a lot of them because he's priced decently, but he very well might not get there. Holmgren is fine. I just wish they would give him some more minutes, but look, 7,500, and he has a couple 50 burgers in the last month. We know he can get even higher than that, so don't mind that either. All in all, guys, we are done. Have a great night. Good luck. Hope you guys win some money, and please like, comment, and subscribe to our video. Talk to you later. Bye.